Yeah, so all real estate driven. It's basically we're looking to eliminate conventional stormwater management ponds, open air ponds, and having them built underground. So whether that be with plastic solutions, as in arch chambers or the stormwater crates, or whether it be concrete solutions in box culverts or conspans, tri-spans, we offer that as well. We're also in the treatment space as well. So we've partnered up with a company called HydroWorks. They're actually based out of New Jersey. The gentleman that started that company is originally from Ontario, and they offer oil grit separators and filtration units. So ideally, these units will be placed upstream of the systems that we suggest to be installed for that project site, and it would act as a form of cleaning and treatment for that water prior to having it enter the system.
Hey there, welcome to the Stormwater World podcast. Shout out to our parent company, Digital Stormwater. We're out there making an impact in stormwater one click at a time. We put more stormwater people in front of your stormwater products and services. How we get there is totally up to you. Some of the services that we offer are social media management, Google, LinkedIn, and Meta ads, SEO and content creation, website builds and updates, AI automations, consulting, and a lot more. So the question is who do you know that needs our help? If you're on YouTube, you can click on that QR code to learn more, or you can give us a call at 844-451-2534, or you can visit us at digitalstormwater.com and schedule a call with us today. I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening to this podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you. Let's get back to the episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of the Stormwater World podcast. I am super excited today about this episode. I met Luca through LinkedIn, and we got to talking and decided to do the podcast episode. And he's from StormCon, but now it's not the StormCon that everybody's familiar with. So just hang on for a second. It's StormCon.ca. What do I mean? Well, .ca, it's Canada. It's StormCon Canada. So how cool is that? So we're going to talk Canadian StormCon today with Mr. Luca Curti from StormCon. He's the business development manager. He's got 10 years of environmental professional experience. He's the former executive board secretary with Canada IECA, so that's the Canadian chapter of the IECA. He was a CSA B184 technical committee member. We're going to let him explain that here in a minute. ASTM F17 technical committee member, lead developer for CSA B185 standard for stormwater management crates. So we've already got things to unpack there on top of the fact that we're talking to you from Canada. Luca, so happy to have you on the pod. Welcome, sir.
Ty, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And as soon as you reached out to me, I was super excited. I said, you know what? Great opportunity. Let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'm interested to hear like the differences and kind of how you guys do things and just about your company. But let's just start out with your bio, right? So what is a CSA B184 technical committee member?
Yeah, so CSA B184 is a standard for arch chambers, right? Subsurface stormwater management facilities in arch chamber form.
Yeah.
So I joined that committee about a year and a half, 2 years ago. We are in that space as well for arch chambers, our company. And, we noticed that there really wasn't a standard yet established for stormwater crates, which I'm going to be speaking about a little bit further in depth as we move along.
I got you.
So I kind of got in, qualified for that. Everyone got to know me a little bit. And then, also being in that crate space as well, I did a little presentation and pitched it to that B184 committee. So it's essentially, it's comprised of people who have a specialty background in plastics, consultants, there's academia on there as well. So it's pretty well rounded. And I pitched the idea and it was really well received. And we figured, it's probably about time that there's a CSA standard for stormwater crates as well.
Gotcha.
And we're rolling with that. So
okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, you guys did something that nobody else has done, right? So we like, you said, hey, yeah, I want to come on the podcast. And then you reach back out and you're like, hey, we want to send you some swag. And I mean, who am I to deny some swag that's probably going to say StormCon on it. I mean, I was 1000% in, and so I didn't open it. I kept it. It's right here. I got your box in. So what we're going to do is we're going to before we get into the meat and potatoes of our Canadian stormwater discussion, would it be all right if I go ahead and open up
Yeah,
your package
absolutely.
here on
Go,
the
it's all
pod?
yours, man.
So
Absolutely.
cool. Let's do it. So and this is live. You can see I did not retape this box. I do not know what's in it. So
There's actually a strike right now with Canada Post
oh
going on
really?
right now, so we were a little bit concerned if you were going to get it in
Oh
time. But
oh
yeah,
really?
we're glad. Yeah, you
Oh
got it, so
no.
it's all good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Here we go. Right, man, right after my own heart there. I've got my digital stormwater hat on, and right out of the gate, got a little StormCon hat. So that's pretty cool. Oh, let's like that. So I'm like, this has never happened. Nobody's ever sent me stuff. I don't know what to do with all this stuff here in my setup here. Oh man. See, this is a mistake, my friend,
Why is
because
that?
because I am constantly trying to talk myself. So those of you that are listening, this is so we talked about the hat. This is a 3D printed version, 3D printed version of their storm crate product, I believe, and that is so cool. And the reason I say that is a mistake is because I am trying desperately not to buy a 3D printer. But it's so now you've got another and I'm
Yeah,
guessing
that's
I'm
what
right, right? That's definitely 3D printed, right?
it is. Yes, it is.
Super
It's
cool.
that's our Green Storm
Oh my
product,
gosh,
actually.
super
So,
cool. And it's just so cool about that kind of stuff because you can, even though it's such a scale, like it's two pieces, you flip it over, you put it together, you can see the void space, and then you can literally feel the strength as I'm squeezing on this thing. I bet you I could probably stand on it. I wish
you
I had
could, yeah,
I wish
you
I had
could.
a
It's
camera.
made from the same material as the original, so it's definitely
That's
it'll hold
awesome.
you up.
Yeah, that's cool. I may actually do that. I may do that later. I may
Sure.
do that, and I'll tag you if I get crazy in a little
Yeah.
while and put that on the internet. Um, we've got envelope. We've got a little dang on. Damn, I appreciate it. You guys, that box not big, but you guys got a lot of stuff in there. Oh, you know what? And so my wife, a civil engineer, PE, she's gonna love that, and I'm gonna pass this along to her. I mean, she loves her paper and her notebooks. I've done my best to move completely digital, but this is awesome. So thank you for this. Is
Yeah, no problem.
it almost feels like a little leather bound notebook there. So that's cool. You guys got good swag, Luca. Hey, keep going. StormCon t-shirt.
We weren't sure of the size. We went a
Oh
little
yeah.
bigger. I don't
Yeah.
know how
Oh,
your
oh yeah.
figure, right? But
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah. This is gonna end up being a sleep shirt for somebody. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you and I are probably about the same size, right? Like, yeah, it's like,
Probably.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show that on the screen, but you got the StormCon. I don't know if there's anything on the back. Yeah, you got the StormCon logo centered. That's cool. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem.
And then just keep on going.
We had to deck you out, right?
Yeah,
If we're coming
man.
to
Like
podcast, we gotta deck you out.
I'll keep all this stuff on my. Oh yeah, no, can't go wrong with the little pen. And then cool, that's cool. We can talk about this too. And then we got the Greenstorm ST and Greenstorm STB, which is it's a booklet and brochure on the product that where the 3D printed model came from, which is cool. And this is very I mean, it's not that I won't like this, but I'm telling you, my wife is
You'll be all over it. That's all good,
she
man. It's good.
she will so thank you from her. She's gonna definitely dig that. Learning about your products. And then let's see what we got going on in here. Man, you're setting a precedent. I don't know now. It might be harder to get on the podcast, everybody. I
Yeah.
don't know. You gotta give out free stuff, whatever. Um
Just a small
okay.
thank you. Just, to show our appreciation for taking the time and for having us.
Yeah, yeah. Got your card. Oh yeah. Thank you for the very nice. Thank you for the that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah,
Ever
we're
come
gonna.
up to Canada, we'll have you by the office. It'd be a pleasure. You can meet the team.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with IECA on some stuff. We've got we've got some podcast episodes that have recently dropped with the ICA, and yeah, so we may come. I think do they do an event there on the Canadian side?
They do.
University? I think so,
They're
right?
growing a little bit more. Yeah, it had gone stagnant for a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah,
they're growing a lot more now. So
yeah, yep. So
absolutely.
we may come across and see you guys, or find a way to get over there and come see y'all for sure. So thank you for all that, man. Thanks a lot. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Yeah, a
That is
pleasure. No
crazy.
problem.
I would have never expected that. I mean, so when you said that, and and then I was like, oh, okay. And you're like, hey, you want to, and like, so yeah. So I'm happy to open that with you there. So appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so let's get back to some content. Let's talk turkey here, or talk stormwater. Let's talk Canadian stormwater. Water's water. Water doesn't know any borders, so that's the
No.
important thing. So
Yeah, exactly.
where do you want to start? Do you want to talk a little bit more about your background? You want to talk about
You know
or
what?
you want to talk about the company?
We can roll right into the business. Yeah.
Okay.
So we operate as StormCon Products Inc. That's our legal name in Canada. We are a stormwater management solutions provider. We are an engineering firm and we specialize in stormwater management. We're located at 69 Connie Crescent in a little area called Concord. It's just north of Toronto, Canada. And yeah, we basically that's what we specialize in. We're it's basically all real estate driven. Obviously, the price of real estate is quite expensive in our province. I'm not sure how it is in Texas. I've seen on Instagram there's it seems like housing is a little bit more affordable in Texas than it is here in Ontario. We often joke about picking up a house in Texas, putting it on a flatbed and shipping it up. Right? It might be
It
a
would
little
be
bit
cheaper. It would be cheaper that way. It
yeah
might be.
you know
Yeah, I mean, it depends. There's some spots in Texas that have taken a pretty sizable hit in the housing numbers. Like in
yeah
Austin area. I know Dallas has been blowing up and all those outside surroundings. I live in a little town called Orange, Texas, which is about 2.5 hours outside of Houston. So the the housing is not as bad in my area of Texas, right? But
seems
yeah,
like you get like a lot more house for dollar in
yeah,
Texas than you would in Toronto. Like I've seen the way you guys build
yeah,
homes is beautiful. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I got you. So, anyways,
So
I interrupted you. What were you saying?
yeah, so all real estate driven. It's basically we're looking to eliminate conventional stormwater management ponds, open air ponds, and having them built underground. So whether that be with plastic solutions, as in arch chambers or the stormwater crates, or whether it be concrete solutions in box culverts, um, or conspans, trispans, we offer that as well. We're also in the treatment space as well. So we've partnered up with a company called HydroWorks. They're actually based out of New Jersey. The gentleman that started that company is originally from Ontario, and they offer oil grit separators and filtration units. So ideally, these units will be placed upstream of the systems that we suggest to be installed for that project site, and it would act as a form of cleaning and treatment for that water prior to having it enter the system. So we've
Now,
also, yeah,
now that initiative is that something that a lot of people are trying to do? Is that just a company mission as far as from the getting rid of the detention? I would assume you guys have a lot of ponds, a
yeah,
lot of.
it's become a lot more uniform to go with that approach because if you could imagine, with an open air pond, if it gets inundated with sediment, you can drain it, go in there, excavate, and clean it out. But if these systems are underground, it can get a little bit more challenging. But
Yeah,
it's not to say that it can't be managed properly, right? So routine catch basin cleaning programs, ensuring that your design starts with pre-treatment, right? So having those oil
right.
grit separators upstream and ensuring that they're sized properly for proper storm events and ensuring that those are maintained as well. Um,
And that kind of
yeah,
goes back to your real estate. You're mentioning the real estate.
yeah,
Right, because I
yeah,
mean, if you can get rid of a pond, then it's like the cost. Like, what's the cost? And everybody, oh my gosh, in the underground, oh my gosh. But then when you go, but guess what? Now you can put something on top of it.
that's right. And you know what?
Oh,
The price of raw land in the area that we are here, you're looking at about 5 million an acre. So
wow.
it's quite significant. So if we can look to basically, condense footprints, which is exactly what we're doing, right? Building the pond underground, they're strong enough to place parking lots on top, etc. You have an area now that was previously allocated to your pond for stormwater management, and then you need some community involvement as well with, recreation parks and parking lots. But now we've created kind of like a layered approach to that, right? So we can now free up more real estate, and it makes it a little bit more, I guess, even in terms of immigration, right? There's a lot more immigration. There's a lot more people having children here as well. So families are growing, and it's we're looking at it from that approach as well, right? To be able to ensure that everybody has a home. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then, so I on our notes there, we've got CSA standardization and municipal. Do you want to unpack that for me? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
So we, as I mentioned earlier, being part of the CSA B184 committee for arch chambers, we always figured that there should be a standard as well for stormwater crates. There's a lot of different crates that are available in today's market, but not all would be considered equal. When you're looking at arch chambers, you're basically looking at a half pipe, and a lot of them are comprised of either polypropylene or polyethylene. And they kind of all behave very similarly. But when you're looking at stormwater crates, there's a lot of different designs that kind of come into play. There's even different generations as well. So, looking at our Greenstorm product, that's a 4th generation solution, and it's been developed over decades. And we partnered with a company from Germany called Frankische, and it is their product. We have the exclusive manufacturing and distribution rights for all of North America, so Canada, US, and Mexico. And it's a very safe product, and that's really what it comes down to. There's certain products, there's different kinds. There's ones that are flat pack application, where you got to manually assemble the box. There's multi-point assembly as well, where you have to manually assemble each column to each top and bottom plate. So if you can imagine, it would make sense in any regard that the more points of contact can be a little bit more problematic over time. These systems are meant to be in the ground for 50 plus years for service life. So a lot of these cities and municipalities, they're understanding, okay, we only have so much real estate, and we want to be able to implement something like this. And we also want to be sure that there's not too much risk to take on as well. So by building the CSA standard, it's really with cities and municipalities in mind. And, you're talking about means of assembly and how many pieces does it take to basically fabricate a single stormwater crate. In our case, and there's others on the market as well that have this capability, but ours, it's those 2 pieces that essentially click together, right? You got male and female reciprocating ends, they click together. And the only way that thing's coming apart is if you're basically killing that you're breaking that crate, and it's got to be replaced. So you wouldn't be able to repurpose that.
And also, I mean, it says on here, and I have some familiarity with some of these tank products, but I don't know, like 96% void. That's impressive. It's hard to tell that would be 96%, but
So what kind of makes it achieve that is the fact that the columns themselves are hollow. So that acts as storage as well. So water would basically infiltrate through, and it would pass through the entire unit. And to think only 4% of it is actually structure, right? It's pretty cool. Some benefits about Greenstorm is it's rated for AASHTO. It's built for AASHTO highway design, right? Which I know is on the American side. It's also compliant with the Canadian Highway Bridge Design Code, and it's rated for CL6 25 Ontario live load trucking requirements. So you can actually drive tractor trailers on top of it, and no problem at all. I'm not going to say which distributor, but we've done some projects for a very, very large distribution hub where they trust millions and millions of dollars of merchandise coming in and out of their facilities every day, and Greenstorm is underneath their parking lot. So it's it really speaks a lot of words, to know that there's that level of trust in the product as well.
Well, and I mean, so you said this is what, 5th generation, 6th generation?
Fourth, yeah, I believe it's the fourth.
Fourth
Yep.
generation.
Yep.
So like, what did you learn? Like, so first generation, I mean, we learned from our failures, right? So like,
Sure.
like what's the, what did you learn between 1 and 4?
So really, first and foremost is the structural benefit, to ensure that the integrity of that product is going to withstand 50 plus years with heavy duty trucking going over top. You're looking at also means of inspectability and maintenance as well. So ensuring that you have a full range of access to get in, inspect that unit, and ensure that there's no obstruction. So we actually, with our system, you can go in with a CCTV inspection cart. The center channel we have, if you can take a look at yours, it's actually in real life, it's 6 inches. And in terms of like a fail safe, if there's ever, your catch basin maintenance cleaning program or your oil grit separator upstream isn't maintained, you would still need a means to be able to get in there and clean these things, right? So a lot of hydrovac trucks, around the world, they offer, 4-inch flex hosing that you can actually be able to get in there and clean the system out thoroughly. So ideally, in a normal cleaning situation, you would essentially drop your hydrovac through your vertical axis to your system from grade.
Right.
And then you would pass a pressure water wand through, and in a pulling motion, you would pull it back, and that suction would essentially clean it all out. There's been instances where the design of our system was actually it really helped us out, and it prevented a lot of unnecessary need for excavation and replacement and all that, because we had a full means of accessibility, as I'm mentioning right now. So there was an event where the owner didn't maintain his upstream sediment containment units, and there was quite significant amount of sediment that was caked at the bottom of that unit, and it dried up. So if you can imagine, we went in there normally on how we would clean them, and it wasn't really doing much. So we decided to flush it. Again, that didn't do much. We hit it with a water truck. We left it. We allowed it to basically saturate and, become somewhat workable in that case, right? Instead of it being solidified, like almost like concrete, we left it for a little bit. It became saturated. And then because we had so much suction, we were actually able to get up close and personal to that sediment. So it was stopped. We cleaned it up, right? It opened up a channel that we could actually now, be able to flush and have that sediment, the remaining of it, come up into suspension again. And then we were able to salvage that system. So fail safes like that are things that we've, considered with cities and municipalities in mind as well. And, by human nature, we all make mistakes and it happens, right? But having that, extra layer of protection, it's I think it's something very special. And
what do y'all put on top?
Say that again, sorry?
What do y'all put on top? Like, do you do like a permeable paving, or like do you?
We can do that. We'll do parking lots as well. You can put parks on top, recreation areas. Yeah.
You just do like a standard, like your standard parking lot, and just have your drains and it's just draining into the system's just draining into the tank.
That's right. Yeah. So it would basically collect into a collection point, which would be a catch basin, and then that would all feed into that tank. Yep.
That's cool. How many access points do you need to clean it out? And so you say like so even the column from top to bottom is hollow. Then it goes down from one to the other.
Right. That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's right. And you know what? Like, depending on the soil conditions on the property, we would either determine whether it would infiltrate back into the earth, or we would wrap it with an impermeable liner, and that would essentially, if there's groundwater issues there as well, that would actually allow that stormwater to remain separate from that groundwater. So it's still easily managed, right? So pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. So outside of some of the products, like I'm a little interested. Well, since we've got you here, like it sounds like for you all as a company that with the real estate trying to show the benefit of being able to recapture that real estate because of the high dollar value. But what other issues do you guys have, or your main issues, or that's going on there in Canada with your stormwater? Like from a regulatory standpoint, just from a municipal standpoint. Anyway, from
the biggest thing, honestly, is the fact that it's been around for a long time in Europe, but it's still relatively new in North America. So we're basically, we're trying to be the pioneers in that regard to shed light and provide knowledge as well. So there's a lot of, consulting firms that they may believe that, a certain product or a certain solution might be the right one. And our approach to that is, hey, we don't try to, that's why we offer an array of solutions. We don't try to shoehorn any one solution for a certain site, because every site is different, right? They have different constraints, different purposes. So that's the reason why we got into the concrete space as well. And we have a sister company that they're called Concast. They'll actually, manufacture. They'll work with us on the engineering side as well to come up with certain solutions that would fit the needs of these projects as well.
So would you say because of that, like that's interesting, because I always feel like in I've been in the industry now what 13 years, which is not that long, but from a public education standpoint or from a public knowledge standpoint, you feel like I feel like the U.S. still, the average person still doesn't get it as far as stormwater. I mean, they care about flooding, right? They don't want water in their house. But when you start talking about treatment and storage and the fact that it just ends up in a body of water and all those kind of things, that the general public is just kind of like, what are you talking about? Is that the same? Like, are you guys fighting that same fight in Canada, or trying to get the word out to the average person of what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And you know what? We're thinking of it as well. Like, we're not just thinking for now, we're thinking for what these solutions are actually rated for, which is 50 plus years. So if you're looking at a city or municipality, we may be working with somebody now who's maybe within the next 5-10 years, they may be looking at retirement, right? So we want to ensure that, the proper solutions are being used. And the fact that, we're recommending going with, with heavy duty crates that are rated for heavy duty trucking, that significantly mitigates your risk, because there's ones that are rated for pedestrian purposes. There's ones that they have different ratings as well for what they can accomplish, right? So by building that standard and kind of having that built in to basically have have them rated for heavy duty trucking, you're really mitigating your risk for long term, right? So what I mean by that is, if you were to have a cleaning event and say that that system is rated for pedestrian use only, and you were to bring in a hydrovac truck, and that information isn't properly relayed to the next person who comes in taking over for the person who retired, that you can see how that could be a bit of a catastrophe, right?
Yeah.
It's all about, communication is key, of course, but thinking and kind of being ahead of the game that way as well is what's going to help and prevent any any long-term issues that may arise down the road, right?
Right. So are you guys working with any U.S. companies, or do you sell your products over the border, or how does that work?
Not as yet. So we're really focusing on our backyard. We're primarily in Ontario, Canada. And I think in the time as we look to grow organically, there's definitely opportunity in the States as well. So I wouldn't say that we're opposed to, eventually moving over that way as well, because there's stormwater needs in the States as well, right? So
absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know, like, cross border and this and that, and whether it's economically feasible or whatnot. I was just wondering if people are interested in talking to you here in the U.S. I know we've got obviously there's a lot of products, and it seems like they're not all created equal, that are similar to tank storage. So I mean, I don't know the nuances from the product to product, so I'm glad you came on to explain it to our listeners. But so I just wanted to see if and I'm sure you don't mind talking stormwater. So if anybody wants to reach out to Luca, his information will be in the show notes, as well as you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions that you've got. But so what are we forgetting? What did we miss, Luca? I think this is interesting. Your company is cool. I appreciate all the swag, but what did we miss? What other thoughts do you have on Canadian stormwater versus the U.S. stormwater that you know of?
Honestly, I think we covered everything pretty well. It's I'm going to stem back to how we kind of do things in Ontario. So if you figure, real estate is quite expensive in areas where there's islands, right? Because there's only so much real estate to offer. So people wonder, why is real estate so expensive in Toronto and in the GTA and Greater Toronto area? And the reason being is because we have something called the Green Belt that's been implemented by our government, and it's essentially a no building zone that's wrapped around you know, the GTA in certain areas of. So that kind of encapsulated what is able to be built on, and that's kind of limited to what we can work with, right? So that's really the whole motto of our business, is being able to come up with a specific, you know, design, and unlocking real estate that would otherwise be lost, right? So being able to add more homes to subdivisions, and, you know, being able to meet the demand of immigration requirements, and also, you know, growing families as well. So yeah.
I mean, I love the idea of being able to keep it on site and infiltrate it. I mean, it seems like it's a clean process, a lot cleaner, less simpler process. And I mean, we're moving it, we're we're diverting it, or treating it, or doing all these things to it, and then we're kind of crossing our fingers and hoping it's clean and letting it go the rest of the way, right? But if we can capture it, store it, and let it infiltrate right there on site, as on top of being able to regain that valuable real estate, then that just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, what's next for StormCon? What's next for you? What's the future hold? What's the rest of 2025 hold for you?
You know what? We're hoping it's going to be a very promising year. You know, we've seen a little bit of an adjustment with interest rates right now. So we're hoping that a lot more developers are going to be coming to the table and looking to pull the trigger, so to speak, to you know, get developments moving, right? So we're looking for a promising 2025 year, and along with that, we foresee this new CSA standard being built as well by that time. So it should be published, hopefully, if all goes well, by July 2025 So
well, kudos to you, Luca, for pushing a new standard to try to get what needs to happen there in Canada. And thank you so much for coming on the pod, taking time out of your day, kind of explaining what your company does, and giving us a little insight onto the Canadian side of stormwater. As we always say, we say it on the pod here quite a bit. You know, usually we're talking state to state, that water knows no border, and it applies here as well. And so I think anytime we can work together and help everybody have better and cleaner water is a good thing. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. All the best with the
and thanks
podcast.
For the swag too.
Pleasure, man.
Yeah. Thank you for the swag. You know, I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. Oh, I didn't even realize. Oh wait, hang on, everybody. That's an Under Armour hat.
That's right, man. Yeah. That's a dad hat, right?
Nice hat. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, hey, it is what it is, huh? And I'm going to wear it. So if it didn't have the tags, I didn't have to take a bunch of time. I'd throw it on right now. But I do appreciate it. And and I look forward to talking to you in the future as well, and see how things are going. So thank you again for coming on the pod.
Hey, if we're ever in Texas, we'll come knocking at the door. We'll come see you.
Yeah, come to Texas, or if if you make it out this year to the IECA event in Richmond, I'll see you there. So think about that. Or good. If Canada has an event, maybe we'll come your way. So
all right, man. Sounds good.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Ty.